Yeah, 2022 deer and elk archery season. Just out scouting with Lindsay on the e-bikes. I had a deer tag, and it was deer season technically, but elk didn't start till September 11th in Washington. So mainly out looking for elk sign, and yeah, if I see a nice buck, I will definitely shoot it. All right, we're out here. We're in the national forest land behind our property. Actually, it's partial timberland, national forest land, but we got the e-bikes. My homemade e-bike. It's got a 40-mile range on it. Whoa, dude. These are elk right here.
I was gonna say there's definitely a bunch of deer tracks.
These are elk tracks. Some pretty dark timber here. We saw some elk sign. Well, me and Lindsay are way back in the woods, and we just heard a whole pack of wolves go off. Like, I don't know, 200 yards away. They're super close, so now we gotta ride back right through where we saw all their crap on the road. And yeah, this is gonna be exciting. Well, it's September 10th. Today's the first day of elk season for archery. Went out this morning, rode about 10 miles, and hiked around, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles. So anyways, I had to ride out in the around 9 or 10 o'clock, so I picked up a new bicycle, Haro aluminum frame. It's a lot more heavy duty than my other bike that I had converted to an e-bike. Got the big tires on it, big as it can get for that, for like a mountain bike. And it's heavier duty, it's not as cheap. So the other one I had was a Schwinn. And anyway, long story short, I was driving the other day, going to hunt one of my other spots across town, across the county, I guess, and it fell off. It fell off the roof and just exploded at 50 miles an hour. Parts went flying everywhere. Luckily, I had taken the battery off of it and put it in the back to make it lighter for loading it. And so I'm gonna take all the parts off the other bike and put it on this bike as soon as I can. The parts that I ordered online don't get here for a few days. So today was the first day of hunting season, so I had to borrow a bike. And this is the bike that I borrowed. It's my in-laws' bike. Really nice bike, man. Freaking sweet. Got to take it out today to go hunting. It's brand new, so I'll be using this for a few days. Super thankful that they're letting me borrow this. Don't know what I'd do without it, because the elk I want to hunt are really far in the woods. Well, I like hunting these fringe areas, kind of where the deep dark timber meets previously logged stuff before. You know, because the elk like to sleep and bed down in the thick timber, and then they come out to feed on all the grasses and whatnot. So it's usually a good spot to find them. One thing I didn't know at the time, but there was a whole pack of wolves hanging out in this drainage, and they were kind of roaming all around different areas, which I later found out because there was no elk in the area. But we had actually had an encounter just before that, a couple days. It's a whole long story, but basically Washington State has a wolf and predator problem due to poor management of predators. They don't issue hunting tags for wolf in Washington State. You know, they could, and they could make a ton of money that would go towards conservation, like it does pretty much for every other game animal. Hunters produce like $4.5 billion worth of money towards conservation every year, but they don't, and they hunt them from a helicopter and hire a guy to hunt them for $70K a year. So they're taking a huge toll on the herds of deer and cattle, and especially elk, since they have an ass backwards way of going about it. But that's Washington State for you. And I like wolves and even cougars just as much as the next guy, but I just wish they would handle the populations of them in a smarter, more logical, scientific way. Day 2, we're on the bikes. I didn't film much yesterday, but we got into a little bit of maybe elk, could have been a moose, and so we're trying a different spot today. And it's about 10 or 15 miles in. Get the fuck out of here. Weak bugle. Well, this is fucking horrible. We accidentally went the wrong way. And it's just the thickest. We just had to come through a hellhole. We're supposed to be up on that ridge, but I made a mistake on my navigation. So we're almost up it now, but...
Yeah, go shine out there. That's where we come from.
Yeah, it's an alder choked hellhole. It came from way down there. It's so smoky. That's where we came from. About a mile of this. But we found elk sign in this drainage. And so we're gonna kind of set up, get a good spot. We just want to check out a couple other spots before. I didn't know it was gonna take this long, but we're getting through it, so. We made it to the top damn near, so there's the road we should have came in on. Wow, look at that game trail. Something's coming down right there too. We're starting to smell elk. But that's right there is the way we came up through all this timber choked hellhole. Got to this sweet drainage. There's elk tracks everywhere up here. And they've been chasing by wolves last night. Crazy. Like you could see like a pack of wolves and a whole herd of elk just moving through. And few spots you could tell where they were circling the elk. Got them cornered. Whoa, we found fresh sign. We followed the elk tracks all the way to this spot. We found a bunch of fresh poop, like from this morning. So we think we got them located into this big, huge drainage over here. It's just this dark timber, and so we're gonna go over this ridge and hopefully get down there and call one of them out. So
The elk just started walking right next to you. It's like, what the fuck?
look at that fucking moose. That's the same one that I ran into yesterday, or 2 days ago. I can barely hold still, but that thing's huge. Well, me and Kyle are heading out. We've been riding our bikes in the middle of the night. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, you can't see much, but we're doing some night bugling, so just riding this road way back in here and seeing what we can get to answer, because had a couple close calls, but we just don't know exactly where they're at. So, and it was kind of crazy. Me and Kyle had ran into a bull moose, and it came charging out at us in the dark through some shrubs, and then it realized we were humans, so it turned around and ran off real quick. But luckily Kyle pulled his gun out real quick, and I was just fumbling with my bow and whatever else, just trying to figure out what was happening. But it turned and ran, so we got pretty lucky, because moose can be known to be pretty mean, especially in September. Well, shoot. Well, we hunted this morning and we ended up finding the elk. I found the elk. I just happened to go down this trail, and man, there was a pile of steaming, like literally steaming crap. Like they had just walked through there. So I went up on them. I could smell them heavy. The wind was in the right direction. We were calling, and I could kind of see them. There was one, at least a cow I could see, but it was about 70 yards, and it was just in a bunch of brush. There's no way I would have a shot. And so they were going to bed in this nice drainage, nice dark timber, and anyway, I freaking didn't want to spook them and blow them out. The thermals were changing, so I backed out of there quietly and went back to camp, took a nap, got my stuff loaded back up, and made it all the way back out here. And as soon as I got back out here, I freaking realized I have a flat tire. And I'm like probably 16 miles away from my place, so I'll barely make it out in the daylight as it is. If it stays on the rim, I'll barely make it out by daylight. If it doesn't stay on the rim, I have to walk, and that's not good. I somehow made it out of the mountains on that flat tire. I rode about 5 miles an hour for, I don't even know, 13 or 14 miles. There's a couple spots where I had to walk it. Anyway, made it back to my truck, blasted back home, grabbed my spare e-bike, loaded it up. Well, I installed a little throttle because that was the broken part, but it came in the mail. And then I loaded it up on top of my roof rack, and now I'm headed back up to the property, and I'm gonna park my truck and then just blast in 12 miles on the e-bike as fast as I can to get back to that elk spot, hopefully before dark and they come out of the woods. So wish me luck. This made it just before the sun went down, like 12, 13 miles, just hauled ass. I'm gonna go in now. I'm only working till like 2 today because it's the last day of elk season, so I'm gonna head out of here. One more day of elk. Hopefully I get one. about 1 o'clock right now, so. Well, I snuck up on an elk and chased him around about 600 yards. Made like an 80-yard shot on this bad boy. Whoa, almost tripped. He died in about 60 yards. Well, maybe 160 yards. I don't know. He died pretty quick. Tumbled down this hill. Anyway, got her done. Josh is here to help. He's got it side by side. We're debating on whether we're gonna winch it out or probably quarter it. Jesus.
That was such slow-mo.
Ouch. Well, we got the elk, 2 of the quarters taken off. Got these heavy ass packs, so we got to go up about 150 yards. And we're gonna come back down, flip them over, get the other parts. Yeehaw. Yeah, and my buddy Josh ended up having to take off because he had to work bright and early. So my wife Lindsay came out and she helped me pack this elk out. It was like 200 yards uphill, but we got it out by like 1:30, 2 o'clock. And it's just funny because I had given up on hunting near my property, and so the last day I just went and hunted this spot that I had hunted ever since I was 16. I was real familiar with it, and I ended up getting an elk on the last day. But I've been hunting this area for, a long time. It's kind of near Josh's property, so it's funny. Well, we got it all back into the trailer, so Josh let us use this side by side. Holy crap, good 200 yards up some really steep stuff. 4 trips. Anyway, got her done. Gonna fire up the side by side and get back to my truck. It's 1:30 in the morning. Since I didn't get the heat of the action on video, this next part is me just describing the hunt. Well, in this video, I'm gonna explain my hunting trip. Basically, I was in the heat of the moment, so I didn't get it filmed the way I would like to. I just had to move, you know. So anyway, this will be describing my elk hunt. It was in September. The last day of elk season in Washington was September 23rd, I believe. And I just thought, well, you know, I had hunted for 11 days straight prior to that and was just exhausted. You know, got close a few times, but for the amount of effort I was putting in, I was pretty discouraged. So I just thought, well, I'm going to go one more time and just see, because you can't kill something if you're not out there hunting. And so I went out to a place kind of by my buddy Josh's house. He's got 80 acres, and I have permission to hunt there, but then it plots some state land behind it. So I went out there in the afternoon, right around noon, really. I mean, so I went on a big hike, though. I went up through his property, went around this old fire roads, real old, overgrown, lots of brush, and the leaves started to fall, or starting to fall, and anyway, I walked and walked and walked about 4 miles, and finally I was coming back towards where I started, and I smelled elk, and I said, oh man, I saw some sign, and I smelled them. And whenever you smell elk, you know that they're gonna be around somewhere close. So I smelled them, and I went up this like huge drainage, just kind of after the smell, you know. I got up on top of this ridge. It was previously logged, so there's a lot of you know, grass, I guess, and stuff. Hiked around, didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. I was calling a bunch, and I sat in this meadow and called, thinking they were in this one spot. Well, nothing. Anyway, I start walking back. You know, it's getting later. It's about an hour and a half before dark, and I see this big Doug fir tree stump, and I took a picture of that tree stump, so I'll include it. And I didn't actually get a picture of the tree stump, but this is the field. And I climb up onto this big Doug fir tree stump, and as I'm climbing up it, I see this two bull elk coming out of the woods about 300 or 400 yards away, and I couldn't believe my eyes. One was like a 3x2 and one was a spike. We're 2 by technically 3, but 2 by 1, basically a big spike. And I go, holy crap! So I got off the tree stump as quick as I could and hid. And I was hitting some cow calls, and it came out of the woods and it came to the bottom of this drainage, and I didn't have like a good spot to set up where I was gonna, be able to get him. And I thought, well, he's gonna take the path of least resistance up this drainage. It's all open country, and he stopped, turned around, and went back the way he came. And I was like, no, and I thought, well, this is like a Hail Mary attempt. I hiked up this mountain right next to it, went along the ridge, which was a big hike. I mean, I powered through it. I was sweating real bad, like just hoofed it down and around because the wind was blowing this way. So I got going into the wind and come up around them, and I saw where they're at. A couple cows were coming out. And so I crawl up, and I'm on this fire road now, and he's off down into the trees, just coming out of the trees, hanging out on the fringe area.
Didn't take a picture of the tree stump, but this is kind of the area where I saw him. First I saw him at about 300 or 400 yards here.
And so I crawled in a little bit more and was cow calling, making him think I was a cow. And anyway, I said, well, this is it. Either gonna try it or not. And he turned broadside, and I stood up, full draw, bam, 83-yard shot. I thought I missed. It sounded like it hit a tree, and it hit him right in the main aorta, jugular thing. Blood just, within a matter of 100 yards, he was dead in a doornail. I heard him crash, and I gave him a minute, and I found the arrow was just covered in blood. Not bubbly blood. I didn't hit the lungs. I hit like where the heart vein goes down the back. Like comes out of the heart and goes down the back and feeds both the legs. So I hit that. It was a real long shot, and I was definitely blessed. God definitely guided my arrow. And my intuition was just giving me the shot, like calling the shots. It's like do this next and do that next, and it's just making the perfect moves every which way I went. And it was like divine guidance, man. Last day, killed the elk, and we only had about a 200-yard pack. It was a steep 45-degree hill, but me and Lindsay packed it out, and Josh let us use his four-wheeler or his razor and a trailer to haul it out of there, so we didn't have to pack it as far. But awesome experience. Last day of the elk hunt. And real happy to get an elk in the freezer, so it was definitely a hard deal. I hunted a lot of days before that, and I got close a few times. One of the nights I was coming back on my e-bike, there was a mama bear and two cubs in the road, and she stands up on her hind legs. It's getting dark, like it's almost dark, and so I was yelling, trying to get them out of the road because I didn't want to wait till it was too dark, or else I'd be riding past them in the dark. And she went around, and I thought they ran off, but they went around a slash pile. And so I'm riding the bike, and I come around the corner, and here's a slash pile, and the mama bear is right there on her hind legs, and I think she charged me. I didn't look, but I was riding so fast. I had the thing pinned, and I was pedaling, and I looked kind of back, but out of my peripheral vision, she must have been 5 to 7 feet away from the bike. So in circumstances like that, when you spook a black bear, they can be, dangerous, but especially mama bears. But that was a crazy experience, and then it makes for a good story. But well, standing here in my kitchen, I got all the elk meat into 3 different coolers. I got them quartered up that night. We packed it out, long night. Anyway, it's been in these coolers for, I don't know, about 32 hours, so the rigor's gone away. And I got ice blocks, not bags of ice, I got blocks. Anyways, I'm butchering it up. This is half of one of the back straps. The back strap's about that long, so these things are huge. I got all the silver skin cut off of it, so I'm cutting these up into steaks. Well, here's I think this is the round one of the parts of the hindquarters. This thing is huge, man. Compared to a deer, it's like about that big. But this is another reason why I butcher it myself, you know, because if you take it to a place, they just cut all the trimmings off and throw it away. But they don't even trim the silver skin, so there's like silver skin here, and I trim all that and get it nice and clean, and then I can save that for my dog. So I probably get about 20% more by doing it myself.